And it looks like we are going free once again. Of course, we are not going free in Europe if you do not have a VPN, but we will be talking about that tonight. How is everyone doing? Let me take a quick look over here at the chat. I see Spartan Warrior Queen. Great to see you as well. Phoenix Fire, great to see you. The Intrepid Syrup here as well. Great to see you as well, brother. A lot of good people. There's Bill. There's Andre. Let me just scan through. Taylor is here. Fred is here. Roy is here. All the heroes of the cause for white well-being, which has been effectively, there's High-Speed Drifter. Effectively, if it is not for some banal reason that all of my content was banned in if not the entire EU, and that's something we will talk about tonight, I guess. We'll try to find out while we are together. Then it is a proof of concept that we will be discussing. If you all could, please, if you have not, please like the stream. If you follow me on YouTube, make sure that you are still subscribed. And if you have clicked the bell for alerts, make sure that the bell is still clicked, is still activated, because the anti-whites continue to persecute me, censoring me as much as they possibly can, for the reason that could be also behind this banning of my content on the continent of my people, where we came from, which is that no one knows better than an anti-white, and certainly a brilliant anti-white elite. No one knows better than they what personalities, what individuals, and more importantly, what doctrine, what ideas are harm and undermine what they have cobbled together in this anti-whiteism. They know better than anyone else. They know better than any outsider. It's like when you are a boxer, or if you just imagine this for a moment, and you know that maybe your left hook is slow, and you know that the ribs, your floating ribs on the right-hand side are very sore. You are the one who knows that. There might be some others who can speculate by watching you in the ring, watching you trying to always protect the floating ribs on the right-hand side, watching you throw the weak left hook against your opponent, and seeing how slow it is thrown. And they can then say, based on that knowledge, that if they are astute observers of you in the ring, they can then say that here are the weaknesses for that boxer. But that is going to be a rare person that is able to identify that. The person who knows the best is the boxer himself. And he wants no one else to know that. Certainly not the people he is going to be boxing. And so that is exactly what happens with the anti-whites. When they hear this doctrine for white well-being, they know instantaneously that here is something they cannot defeat. Here is something that indeed undermines them. Here is something that is a curative contagion that can be spread very easily from one person to the next. It's not going to require Jason Kuna to go from lecture hall to lecture hall, from YouTube channel to YouTube channel, to spread this message. It is going to just take the average man and woman out there who maybe even isn't going to have a lot of time to invest in finding out how to defend him or herself. It's going to take that minimal amount of time to learn that lexicon and those dialectics, and then simply to use them in conversation. That is how they will spread. That, my friends, is what the anti-whites are most painfully aware of, and why even though my subscriber count is tiny compared to some of these others who are permitted to speak globally, it is me who they censor. It is me who they shut down. I don't even share half of the things that the anti-whites do, because do to me in attempts to censor me, because I know that many of you will become black-pilled, as everyone likes to say. You will become despondent knowing the effort that's being made to shut me down. I see it as just another challenge. I was commenting the other day with someone I was speaking to, that I used to do for fun these Mensa puzzles. But this life against the anti-whites is the best Mensa puzzle because it's not a waste of time like those things are. So absolutely, these challenges to me are just seen as puzzles to be conquered, and I conquer them one after the other. And each victory makes me more confident. Each victory, each time they lay down another roadblock in front of me. And this is how you should view it as well. That to you, as it is to me, should be validation that you are on the right path. That to you should be seen as a challenge to overcome and to take pride in when you overcome that challenge. And that is what is happening here. That is what I'm doing. Every time they set up a new roadblock, I defeat them. And it's been that way all along. I won't lose. In fact, already the seeds have been planted. Already the seeds are on the air so that it won't require me to be present anymore. But I'm going to continue to push as long as this heart beats in my chest for the cause of white well-being in our people. As long as this soul still permeates this body, I will be here for our people. I will be here for you, white man. I will be here for you, white woman. I will be here for you, white children. We will continue to spread this message. So let's see what we got going on here. If you have not already tweeted and gabbed this stream, please do so now. It's going to be the only way that we are going to reach people, is by each of us reaching out to our circles of influence. The current raft of censorship activities should make that painfully obvious to you all. Please, if you have a Minds, post it there. If you have a Facebook, post it there. If you have a VK, post it there. I see Ephemeral is here. Ragnarox is here. Great to see you. Let's see who else we have. Ephemeral says, glad to see I'm not the only Massachusetts man listening to No White Guilt. Phoenix Fire saying hello. Let's see what else we have here. The chat just jumped on me. Saint Stringfellow, good news, brother. I got a YouTube notification in the UK after changing my location to the USA. No VPN activated. So that is an important thing we're going to be talking about tonight. I am going to actually be taking notes. We are going to be working together. We are going to be crowdsourcing all of our information, knowledge, intelligence, and the like. We are going to be finding out how to get around these anti-whites, because they can sit in their smug little towers with their bellies hanging over their belts and giggling as they stupidly do, with drunk with their power about how they can flip a switch here or there and overcome the opposition, but only for a moment, you bastards, because then we circumvent everything you do. And trust me, the day is going to come when the door swings open and it's not a friendly person entering your office. We're going to be there to fire you and to take you to prison for your acts against humanity. So let's see, that was changing your notification. Changing your location on YouTube. I see Marcia. Great to see you here as well. I see, is it a hard G or soft G? Burgie. Good to see you. Resurrection Jose, good to see you. We have a super chat from Pamela for $10. Red Ice member here. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for that kind investment in the cause of white well-being. And just a reminder to everyone, feel free to give me suggestions in the chat, to ask questions in the chat. If you want to up the chances that I will see the questions or suggestions, tag me in those questions or suggestions. And if you absolutely want your question or suggestion to be read, then you can super chat it here on YouTube, or you can dig down into the description for the familiar alternative, and you can super chat by that way. I have the screen up, and I will be checking it regularly to make sure that nobody has been missed. Professor Honkler with a super chat of £5. Thank you very much. Keep up the good fight against the anti-whites. An honorable man can never be defeated, even in death. Salutes you, sir. Thank you very much. Many salutes in return to everyone in the UK. We're building a lot of great people in the UK are watching the work that we're doing here for white well-being, are themselves joining the cause of white well-being and spreading it there in the UK. It is a fantastic thing. It is a global phenomenon. We do not need, understand this, folks. There's something that is very complicated about the cause for white well-being. It's one of the reasons why the anti-whites hate me with the passion that they hate me, which I wear as a shining and gleaming medal. It makes me proud. It puts a smile on my face every moment of the day when I think about how much they despise the work that I am doing for white well-being. This is a complicated thing. We need this to be a global phenomenon for white well-being. It cannot be a nationalist phenomenon. There are many reasons for this, and perhaps we'll do a Going Free episode specifically to address this. If you have thoughts of your own, you can please post them in the chat, and maybe we'll get to those as well. It cannot be a this is for nationalism everywhere phenomenon. It also cannot be a unification against of multifarious groups or diverse groups. It can't be a unification of diverse groups against some supposed common enemy group. That won't work either. And there are many reasons for that as well. There is a lot of thinking that has gone into this. Thinking, by the way, that I have invested. I've demonstrated my successes elsewhere many times throughout my professional career. I am demonstrating my success here by way of the anti-whites doing everything they can. And this is not just some run-of-the-mill street urchin that is complaining about me, some SJW that is complaining about me and trying to shut me down. No, these are the thinkers of the anti-white. The anti-white elites have taken notice of what we are doing here. Take heart in that. You should feel great pride from that. You should feel great strength from that. That these people have noticed, potentially, and we'll talk about it in a moment, but potentially, that this doctrine of white well-being is a threat to their domination. It is a threat to their domination because it is a threat to the control over the minds of our people as it serves to cure them and inoculate them to further anti-white ideology, to mean pathogens, to anti-whiteism in general. So let's see what everybody else is saying here. I see Machiavellius is here. Great to see you. Germanic Celtic. Let's see who else is here. Greg says, got to get Jason's book. He needs work. Anon88 says, I'm buying your book. Roy Danton has showed up. Great to see you, Roy, with super chat of $4.99. My VPN doesn't support China, but I could set it to Hong Kong and see all your videos. Thank you for that information. Everyone, please, whatever methods that you are using to be able to access my videos, my content, the cause for white well-being, please share that information in the chat throughout the course of this live stream so that others will see. And also, if you are in Europe and you are watching this or you're able to see this, share with others in Europe how you are able to access this content. Share with them that my material has been banned in Europe and that this, by whatever means you're using, is the way that you have been able to access that material. Norman Bates writes, old NGW vids, maybe it was NWG, No White Guilt vids, now available through Tor for Brits. Let's see. Machiavellius says, exactly, proves we will win. We absolutely will win. There's Kieran Kelby. Great to see you. What did Kieran write? Let's see. The chat jumped on me. Right. Kieran writes, I hope every person here uses the lexicon. It is weird to witness what takes place. Indeed. Watch as this, it's almost like a movie. And I'm working diligently on the second edition, and we are going of Going Free. We are going to be talking about the second edition and all of these new MCs, the mean curatives that I'm going to be sharing this time, since there are enough of us now that are interested in Going Free that it is legitimizes thereby these other pieces of the puzzle that I can bring to you now and you can employ in your life. But it is a lot like watching a movie when you use this lexicon, when you use the dialectics to see the reactions of the anti-whites, to see how they are unable to respond, to see how it shuts their brains down. It's almost like throwing water on a electronic board, and the sparks fly as everything short circuits. That is why they are so afraid of why they hate what we are doing here for the cause of white well-being. So we see that absolutely you can use a VPN, but you can also, it appears now, I've heard from a handful of people that on your YouTube settings, if you change your location to a country other than the EU countries, you can view my material and view this, and I will be addressing this as well. So let me make sure that we are up to date on the other method by which you can super chat down in the description. Ryan says, great to see you, by the way, Ryan. Writes, your streams always come at the perfect time, right when I need them. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. This is going to be a big pick you up episode that we're gonna have here. Again, let's a lot's going on, and you are going to see how I respond to the anti-whites when they bring down the hammer, and see how different it is from many of the others. And this is how you should respond. I see Eric Johnson writing hello. Great to see you. All I see is here. Great to see you. Okay, let's see if anybody else. Mike Hawk writes, Jason, your recent interview with Dr. Duke is gone. Please, how can I listen to it again? It is gone. Mike, when you say that it is gone, you don't mean that it was deleted from his channel, or do you mean that it was deleted from his channel? Was my interview with Dr. Duke, does anybody know, was it deleted from that channel that Dr. Duke is now on, or has it been put into limited state? I see Jilly Storm is here today. Great to see you, Jilly. I feel horribly discouraged about UK, EU banning your channel. I wish I felt more hopeful about the future of our people. I feel more defeated than ever because you're not controversial. No, actually, we should feel much more enthusiastic. And I'm going to tell you, my confidence level has gone through the roof. If I well, now mind you though, now there has been someone, and perhaps the chat can, and again, we're going to be working together, ladies and gentlemen. This is a group effort. A couple people, or two people have said, so a couple people have said that they could access my content from two different countries that are in the EU. So this is interesting. I asked one of them, but I didn't see a response from that individual, at least not yet, during Tutar, if his browser had not been and the cache been cleared. Because if you still have the material loaded onto your browser, it may fill in the blanks. Try playing the videos. So say, I think one of the countries was Iceland. So if you have a VPN, open up a tab, switch the VPN to Iceland, and see if you can access my material, and then if my material comes up, try playing some of the videos that you have perhaps never watched and see if they work then, and get back to me, and let's see. Because it does appear to be an EU thing, but there is this little contradiction perhaps that it's not just, but that it's not all of the EU countries, although it was all of the EU countries I and some others had checked when this first happened. I don't think my book has been banned or either of my books have been banned by Amazon, at least not yet. Rest assured, if they set fire to my books on Amazon, they will be made available elsewhere. You can go to nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com and you can acquire both of my books there at any point now or in the future if Amazon decides to burn my books. Jessica Wild writes, why would Europe ban Jason? Jason has the most positive message out there. That is exactly why. It's at least part of it. It's because these anti-white elites, the people who are bright enough to see what will undermine their control of your minds, of all of the minds of our white brothers and sisters out there that are yet to begin going free, they realize that this is the curative contagion that will set them free. They realize that this is the positivity, that this is the normalcy. I'm not just some Hollywood cutout of what it means to care about or be white positive. I'm a real human being, just like all of the other millions of white middle-class working folks out there, normal sensibilities when I say that. I'm a real person, a regular person is what I mean when I say that. And they despise that. They despise that I don't advise you to do something illegal. In fact, that I tell you to stay away from anyone admonish or encouraging you to do something illegal, suggesting illegality in some way, suggesting that something positive could come to us and our cause by way of some illegality. But the most important thing is that they realize, for example, the one thing that I can tell you right now, and this is an MC, this is a meme curative. This is going to be in the second edition. I've said it before, and we have to keep saying it with each other because we have to build this inertia. It might be the first time that you are hearing it. And that is that if you are in a conversation with an anti-white, whether friend or foe, family, stranger, what have you, online, in person, over the phone, and they begin to use some sort of meme pathogen against you, one of these pretexts, the moralization, intellectualization, or sentimentalization of arguments to arrive at anti-white conclusions where they can inflict harm on Western kind and Western civilization. Do not debate them on any of those pretexts. You may point out that they are a pretext, but all that you really need to say is that you don't care what their pretext is. You don't care what their excuse is. If they arrive at an anti-white conclusion, you reject their argument and you want to know why they are so anti-white. You just flip it like that. Let me tell you what the anti-whites do, the anti-white elites in their ivory towers, what they do when they hear me share that with you, when they hear you share that with others. Their heads explode. That's what happens when they hear that, because they know that that is so easily adopted, just like that. They know that it's easily adopted and easily shared. They know that they can't muddle your thinking then. They know that they can't use the many multi-millions of dollars that they have spent on psychologists and rhetoricians and the like to invent arguments, to coin arguments that will so muddle your brain that you can't retort and even come up with a reason why you and our people deserve to exist. We become so muddled. Our people become so muddled because of these arguments. All you need to do is repeat what I just said. You just say you reject everything that ends in an anti-white conclusion, and you want to know why your interlocutor, the person you're talking to, is so anti-white that any argument would be acceptable to them to arrive at an anti-white conclusion. Period. Let's see what else we have here. Then we're going to get started on this. Amygdala writing, yeah, changing location to US from UK works. Fantastic. Everyone try that now. Anon 2 writes, great tips. Phoenix Fire, thumbs up. Freedom Fighter, great to see you. Hail, comrades. Jake Nielsen, Resurrection Jose. I checked a moment ago and went back a little more than a year, and I don't see the video interview with Dr. Duke at all. Luckily, Syrup just put up the BitChute link. So, are we saying then that other interviews that Dr. Duke has done on his channel are up, but not the interview that he did with me? Is that what we're saying? Could you get back to me on that, Resurrection Jose, or anybody else? I see Lunar. There's El Ronder. We're just getting fired up, brother. You haven't missed anything yet. Okay, Honk Green writes, the stream is visible in the UK on Firefox, no VPN. Very interesting. Fantastic. Great to hear that. Bear saying, I love hearing you, Jason. Much love in return. Thank you very much for being here. Susan writing, I am in Malta. So you're able to see the stream from Malta without a VPN or changing your location on YouTube. Mike Hawk says it was deleted. It's not even on Dr. Duke's website. Do you happen to have a copy? I do. And I will be posting that along with the others. Everything they try to take down. We will play this cat and mouse game forever. I have no problem with it. 1 second while I make an adjustment, folks. All right. Let's see. Okay, Elronder says that it's been my interview with Dr. Duke was uploaded and it's in a limited state. Now, are other Dr. Duke videos in a limited state, or is it just mine? Underhill writes, the stream is visible, just not videos. Ah, the stream is visible. That was going to be something I was going to ask. Thank you very much. Are others in Europe, or can you use your VPN to view from European countries, France, Germany, etc., and see if the stream is visible, but the videos are not? And this is, by the way, Underhill, are you on Firefox or are you on Chrome or something else? Jamie writing, bought Go Free the other day from Amazon in the UK. I will share the book with my cousin. Thank you very much for that. Well done. Remember, Jamie and everyone else, that when you receive Born Guilty and you begin to read the book, and let others know this as well, that there is a unique device in Born Guilty, so that if you just flip through the book when you first get it, you're going to see something that appears to be an error. Don't deal with it at that moment. Wait till you reach that part of the story, reflect on the context, and follow the English alphabet. Those are all the tips you need. I see Josh Randall just super chatted by way of the Familiar Alternative with $10. Thank you for the investment in white well-being. writing, they are scared because we are getting too loud to ignore. Amen to that. Amen. Millions, remember I said this, ladies and gentlemen, millions of middle class working whites, scores of millions around the world, hearken to this message. They are going to hearken to white erasure, to us using that. They are going to hearken to us using white well-being. They're going to hearken to us using these MCs. We are going to grow. We are growing rapidly right now. You know, and I have no doubt either that, and I've had others tell me this, that the subscriber count, you know, being at 14,000 has been artificially suppressed by YouTube. We're going to talk about some more censorship going on with me as well. But let's see what else we have here from the good people. We also have, looks like Roy Danton super chatting. Thank you again, good sir. $9.99, a big shining champion in our rapidly growing community for white well-being. Thank you, Roy. This stream seems to be visible everywhere, but for your other videos, Iceland and Finland seem to be the exception. They're also shadow banned in Russia. In Russia. Tried on my iPad, killing the YT app. Wow. So banned in Russia. Can anybody else confirm that my videos are banned in Russia? Thank you very much for that investment in the cause of white well-being, Roy. Can anyone else confirm that I am, my videos are banned, but the stream is visible in Russia? Blatant arrogance. Is that X or is that 10? Super chatting with $15. Thank you very much for the kind super chat. Unfortunately, I have to go. I will pick this back up later. Till then, keep up the good work, sir. Well, remember, if you are in Europe, you might have to use one of these alternatives to view it once it goes up as a video rather than a live stream. Okay, let's see what else we have. Stream just jumped on me, folks. 1 second. We have another confirmation that no videos are appearing on my channel. So Iceland and Finland, I did notice that Finland yesterday, or no, the day before when I was looking at this, it did come up. There's Mary Moon, great to see you. There's Kenneth, great to see you. There's Jeff Smith, great to see you as well. Underhill is on Firefox. Okay, so it seems that it's Firefox that is enabling people to see the stream. So the stream is visible on Firefox, but I guess the videos are not. Let's see. We're getting to a lot of this. Fred, I see that you wrote that you live in Sweden. You're afraid of buying my book because you link it to your debit card, white positive material. Get it by way of my store, my online store. I happily will ship to Sweden. NoWhiteGuiltCollectibles.com. No one will know in your government. The packaging is plain. No one will know. Andre, writing no white guilt, he'll just outthink them, as he always does. We can copy that. Absolutely, we will outthink them. We always outthink them because we are better than them. No white guilt, and get the other racial groups on our side. It will legitimize our message in more people's eyes. We could talk about that maybe. Okay, looks like we have a super chat of 100 Danish krona from Nuke Cloud Stalker. Thank you very much for that. No videos on your channel in Denmark. I can see the stream though using Google Chrome. Okay. So Google Chrome, it's Firefox and Chrome. This is great news. Great news to hear. I'm going to be changing my banner as well to help people get through this. Thank you very much for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's Indeed, you're most welcome, Fred. Okay, let's go ahead and I didn't hear back about Duke. Does he have, are the rest of his videos in limited state? Is it just his interview with me? I'm beginning to wonder if all of my interviews on YouTube are going to be put into limited state on no matter whose channel they appear. Roy Danton back again with another super chat of $9.99. Thank you so much, good sir. By the way, there have been some other banning going on in the EU this week. The channel, it looks like a German, oh yes, I think I heard about this one. German channel also got put into limited state, and they also closed his bank account. Now, is this the channel, Roy, that is he sort of like nationalistic? Talks about cultural things, doesn't talk about being white or coming together as whites. Leaky super chatting by way of the familiar alternative with $2. Thank you very much for the kind super chat. Writing, you retweeted this a while back, but I was wondering, how would you refute this message in this image? Well, I'll have to, one sec. See what comes up. I'm not going to be able to read all of that now, but I will take a closer look at this and what they're saying here, and get back to you on how I would respond to what the anti-whites are arguing there. Oh, Rhonda writes, it's just the interview with you for what I researched so far, but it could be that it is because of the channel of Brian, though. P.S. The channel you just mentioned is called, and then was that all the words you were allowed to type, or you weren't allowed to? It didn't show up. Okay, let's get into this. If you haven't already, please tweet and gab the stream. Even if you have, please retweet and regab so we can set the internet on intellectual fire and piss off every one of these anti-white dirtbags. Okay, Alondra says that the German website has won the dispute with YouTube. His bank account is still banned, though. Yeah, the banks are. In fact, I received information on a Christian preacher online who they just had their bank account shut down, I think by Bank of America, for the obvious reasons that the anti-whites are getting desperate, but they're not going to stop us. This is them trying to, this is the tsunami coming to the shore, and this is them building walls around their sandcastle on the beach. Good luck, losers. All right, so let's talk about some of these things, and then we'll keep going with this as we progress. Thank you all dearly for being members of this rapidly growing family for white well-being, this great community. We are the best in the white positive sphere, without question. Non-Perel. Extremely excited to have you all here. Extremely excited to be working with you all. I had a very busy couple of days, and you'll be discovering why in just a moment as we go through some of these notes that I have. So I have some sketchy notes as a result, but let's get into it. On this past Sunday, the 14th, I was phone blew up, and I got this news about this little boy by the name of Landon. I don't know if you all have heard about him yet, but he is this white little boy who was, Marcia says, nice shirt. Well, thank you very much. I don't know how much folks can see of it, but in the wake of the things that are going on, especially with Notre Dame and some of the other censorship and that what happened to Landon, I think the angel wings are appropriate here Uh, so let's go. If you haven't heard about Landon, he was at Mall of America. This is supposed to be the Mall of America, right? He was on the third story, and some non-white grabbed him, a 5-year-old. Please correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, if I don't have all the information. As I said, I've been very busy, and I thank you all for reaching out with help. This is what we do. This is another thing that distinguishes us. We are a family. We are a family of as a people, but we are also a family, a tighter family in service to white well-being. That is what makes us so strong, because you are going to have talents that I don't have, and you are going to have skills that I don't have. And when we bring all of these things together, we become a force that is most profound, something that the anti-whites absolutely despise. There isn't some single individual who's just wants to stand in a spotlight, or who wants to talk about endless uh, crime stats or something all day long. We're an actual movement, a body of people, a family of people that are tackling the challenges that are ahead of us, that prevent us from moving forward to recapturing our destiny. God bless it. There is nothing else like that has happened. I have been in this cause for decades, and I will tell you that people have been wasting their time, continue to waste their time on trivial, unimportant, absolutely unnecessary things. Party time, super chatting with $5. Been seeing a huge increase of the term anti-white on normie Twitter. They can't shut it down. Amen. They cannot shut it down. And when you see people use verbiage, use the lexicon like anti-white, when you see them use lexicon like white well-being, make sure you tell them where to go to get more of that information. Make sure you tell them nowhiteguilt.org. Make sure you tell them about my books. Make sure that you empower them and you help them on their progress of going free. Don't let them just flounder in the water with a single term and then disappear into the murky depths. Throw that life ring to them. Pull them to shore. Pull them to the boat that we have built here. Help them go free. Help them go free as you have been helped. Bear Manson says, may our archives share your uploads? Do it. Just make sure that the people know where to come for the new videos. That is extremely important. Bear saying yes, and passionate in many ways. Make sure that the people know where to come to get more of this information to go free. Bring them into the fold of our family. So anyhow, Landon was at the Mall of America with his family. A 5-year-old child, a 5-year-old white little boy, was at the mall, I understand, with his family. And some non-white monster grabbed this little boy and threw him over the edge, over the railing, 3 stories high. What, of course, this non-white monster believed, this anti-white non-white monster believed, would be to the child's death. Is that not a hate crime? Is that not, by way of the regime's definition, he chose a white child? If we were to sit that bastard down and ask him whether or not he thinks that white people are responsible for slavery, whether or not he thinks that white people are responsible for oppressing his people, that white people are profiting by way of exploiting his people, if we were to ask him that, you know damn well and good he would say yes to all of those questions. So are you going to tell me that at that moment when he decided that he was going to pick that beautiful white little boy, that he magnanimously overlooked all of that he believes has been inflicted on his people by our people, and choose a white child? That he just magnanimously, he said, he's just going to kill someone today. He's going to kill a child. He's going to throw him over the edge of this 3rd story balcony or railing, wherever they were at the mall. And he said to himself, Well, I'm going to overlook all the slavery thing. I'm going to overlook all the persecution. I'm going to overlook the exploitation of my people by these white devils. I'm going to overlook all of that and just choose a white victim by happenstance. Is that what you expect us to believe? Go to hell. Every crime committed against a white person is a hate crime. There isn't a single non-white murderer or rapist or burglar or somebody who maims you, attacks you, and stabs you, or beats you, bludgeons you, disfigures you, who does not act out of hatred for our people. Not a single time. There isn't a single non-white who has victimized our people who is not also anti-white. You would have to be an absolute imbecile to believe that some murderer, non-white murderer or rapist is overlooking the fact that his or her victim is white. Every single time they are focusing on the fact that their victim is white. And every single time an anti-white preaches to the public that white people have done this and white people have done that to the non-whites, they are also responsible for those murders, for those rapes, for that child. What fear went through that child's mind when this monster picked him up to throw him over the edge? What fear went through his mind as he plummeted to the ground? That news hit me like a sledgehammer. You know why? Because I'm going to say something that this Trump chump in the office, Oval Office, doesn't have the courage to say. He never has the courage to talk about white people. He could talk about the Jews all day long. He could talk about the blacks all day long. He could talk about the Mexicans and other mestizos all day long. He could talk about women all day long. But he can't say anything about white people. Well, I'm going to do what Obama was able to do in the name of evil. When he said that, what was it, Trayvon Martin, if Obama had a son, Trayvon Martin is what he would have looked like. If that's right, if I have the names right. Well, I'm going to say what the Trump in the White House can't say. And that is, if I had a little boy, he would look like Landon. And all of you out there, white men and women, old enough to have children, old enough to have grandchildren, all of you should say the same thing. He could have been your little boy. He could have been your grandchild. Can you not put your mind in that mind of that babe as he was dragged to that railing and then thrown over the side? Can you not put your mind in his, that terror in his heart? Every millisecond of that fall. If you can't, you are defective. If you can't feel the anguish and the terror in his heart, you are defective. If you cannot feel the pain in that family, you are defective. If you can't get angry over this, if you can't get righteously furious over that, you are defective. Underhill writes, goddamn right. Resurrection Jose says, you got it. Phoenix Fire is applauding. National Autism, we are going free in the EU too. I guess live is not a problem. Awesome. Great to hear that. That's fantastic news. Somebody write to Jared George right now, if you could. Someone, please. Write to him and tell him, because he and I have been very worried that we were not going to be able to stream tap to Europe anymore because of this ban. But it looks here like you all are able to receive the live stream, even when you are viewing it from your home country, wherein you are unable to see the remaining videos. Zandrafan, a bunch of clapping hands. Thank you for the support. Andre, bring him to us. He's right, you know. Jason, you're 100% right. Anon. So let me tell you, what are the NPCs out there, the white NPCs? What are they going to say? And what are the anti-whites in your environments going to say relative to Landon? And by the way, if somebody could, if you know the latest on the poor little boy, I see Laurel is here today as well. Great to see you. Great to see Paul as well. Great to see Dwayne. If you know some about his situation right now, his status at the hospital, how is he doing? How is his family doing? Where are the goddamn news agencies asking the family? Why are we not seeing this as international news, as it should be? If a white man had grabbed a non-white child and thrown him to his death in a place called the Mall of America, that would be international news. We would see tearful interview after tearful interview 24/7 from the family members. They would be outside the hospital. The anti-whites would hire other anti-whites to go and set up flower vigils and candle vigils outside the hospital, and every news channel would be present to visit and videotape it all. What more do you need to know about the anti-whites and their motivation? This, friends, is a hush crime. If you haven't learned about it all already, I want you to use it with everybody you speak to about this. When they say, Landon who? Who's the Landon you're talking about? Tell them, well, of course you didn't hear about it because it is a hush crime. It does not fit the anti-white narrative, and therefore the regime doesn't want you to know about it. The regime doesn't want you to be concerned about white erasure, about your replacement with groups of people that have different biospirits than your own. So that you have to wander the mall wondering if some monster is going to grab your child and throw him to his death. Just got a super chat, 10 Canadian dollars from the Chance, writing, it ain't much. I am not rich. Gotta save some for Poseidon. God bless you and yours. Please, every penny is a treasure to me. Every penny is a treasure. And it is not about how much you can give of your time, of your money. The fact that you are here, that you are able to give what you give, that is what is important. That you are able to invest what you are able to invest. That your abilities, whatever you have, whatever they are, that you are able to give them. Folks, I know a white guy in a wheelchair who struggles with other daily activities, who is going out and putting, because I mentioned putting leaflets that, as I had done in the past, in library books, who is going to the library and is putting leaflets for white well-being with my website on them in books at the library. So if a guy who is a little challenged with everyday tasks and in a wheelchair is able to get to the library and print out these leaflets and put them in library books, you have no excuse. Thank you very much for that, the Chance. Syrup doing double duty, modding as always, a great champion for our people. We are going, all of you, we are all going to be remembered. We are all, the songs will be sung to us when we recapture our destiny. The enemy's number one agenda is to prevent us from becoming race realists. Once we all agree on the truth, things will change fast. That's a super chat of £5. Thank you so much, Syrup. Thank you so much for the strong words as well. So let's see, who else do we have here? Let's tweet, let's gab, let's tweet it again, gab it again, minds it again, Facebook it again. Let's get it out there. Somebody's just getting off work. Somebody is just coming out of the gym. Shell writing, the dear little child is in stable but serious condition, last I saw. Thank you for that information. Jilly Storm writing, you are more courageous than any president. If you had a son, he would look like Landon. I wish I did. Thank you very much for that, Jilly. He would look like Landon. And my heart breaks for their family. I will tell you this. This is what they're going to say. And this a woman in the cause for white well-being, a very bright woman, told me that she heard this argument in response. And so I'm going to share it with you all because it is the exact argument that you're going to hear from anti-whites and NPCs with their heads in the sand or other orifices. They're going to say, well, you couldn't predict such a thing. Couldn't predict that this anti-white, non-white would pick the child up and throw him over the railing to his death. Fortunately, as we're hearing, he's in stable condition, but he probably, although we pray to God that he does not end up like a vegetable, but you don't fall 3 stories and come out of that okay. We can hope for a miracle. If I would be at that hospital, ladies and gentlemen, if I were closer. So, and if you are near that hospital, if you are anywhere near the hospital where this child is, go to the hospital, set up a sign that says no white guilt, love for Landon, candles around it, get photographs, get video, share them with me, share them on Twitter, share them on Gab. And when the hospital staff comes up to remove what you have created, get pictures of that as well. Make sure you get pictures of the fact that all around the vigil, it's empty. No reporters there to talk to you. Here's the argument that was shared with that woman. Couldn't predict it. You'd have no way of guessing that this anti-white non-white was going to do this. This is one of the arguments that the anti-whites use again and again in different iterations. So please pay close attention to this because you're going to have to use it in your conversations. When an anti-white, and of course you can use the MC that I said earlier in this argument, earlier in the stream, which is that if they present an argument to you that ends in an anti-white conclusion, that you just reject it and you can go no further. You don't have to go any further. But if you want to, and if you feel that you have the wherewithal to be able to do this, say to the anti-white or the NPC that it is not logical to say that since I am already likely to die or face the possibility of dying because of Y, that it is acceptable to increase my likelihood of dying by X. That is not logical. It is illogical, and the anti-whites, excuse me, use that argument all the time. Well, if you're murdered by a non-white from south of the anti-white non-white from the south of the border, you could have been murdered by a white guy. So it's just like you're just getting murdered. We just oppose murder. No, you cannot say, it's not logical to say that since we are already dying or being raped by Y, that it is then legitimate to increase our likelihood of dying or being raped by X. That is not logical. So if you are faced with that and you want to use that particular argument, use that with the anti-white, use it with the NPC. If they're an honest person, they'll have to agree with that. If it's an honest NPC, they'll have to agree. Well, that's true. You know, I mean, that's like saying that, well, if a person is already dying from cancer, they're going to die maybe 10 years from now. They have cancer. It's a slow growth cancer. It's metastasizing, probably have about 10 years more to live. That then it's okay if that person has AIDS too. It's okay because they're already going to die from cancer in 10 years. So they might as well go ahead and have AIDS as well. That is how asinine that argument is. Do not let NPCs or anti-whites get away with that. Especially, now we're just talking about general terms here. We're using the mathematical Y and X. But something that's closer to reality is that X in this scenario is far more likely to commit such acts. Statistically, it is shown that they are far more likely to commit violence. So therefore, you could take the argument to the next level. Just because of Y and the threat of Y doesn't legitimize X, which is squared or cubed when it comes to violence, when it comes to psychopathy. Totally illegitimate argument. Let's see what else we have. Looks like we have a super chat by way of Andrew on the familiar alternative. Thank you very much for that investment in the cause for white well-being. Folks, if you have not clicked like, please do so. We need to get the stream out to people. People are getting, as I said just a moment ago, they're getting off work. They're coming out of the gym, or they're just getting to the gym, and they're turning on their iPhone or what have you and accessing the Wi-Fi in their gym. They need to get your alert to know that this stream is going, so that as they improve their body, improve their health and mind on the treadmill, they can watch this stream and go free, for God's sake. It's going to take every one of us. Andrew writes, I love your positive message, but this week has had me so furious. It's been unbelievable that this is not plastered all over the place. Love you, brother. For more easy activism, look at the 100-handers. The stickers are easy to edit and make topical. Absolutely. And we're going to be doing stickers, more stickers on NoWhiteGuiltCollectibles.com, things that will help spread this message. We're going to be doing bumper stickers, a lot of exciting things. So I'm going to tell you, let's see if there's anything else that's been written really quickly here. Party Time writes, actually in the gym now. So am I psychic, folks? No. I can compute what's going on in the world, and I know where our people are mentally. I know where they are physically. I know when we have to reach them. And you can do the same by empowering yourself with the tools in going free. Killa writes, it makes me sick to think what the family is going through. Thanks for the love you have for our race. No white guilt. Thank you very much, Killa. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here in the cause for white well-being. Eldorand writes, we must also see the big picture. Multiculturalism. Okay, this is going to be, and we're going to have to be really scrupulous. And this might be the first time I'm telling you all this. Never use the phrase multiculturalism. I'll get to Elronder's point. Always change multiculturalism to multiracialism. Multiracialism has always led always led to race and civil war. With that, the number of dying will explode, as well as suffering. That I also use every time. Very good. Always point that out, Elronder. Thank you for doing that in your conversations. And please, when you get the opportunity, use multiracialism. Multiculturalism has been sold to our people in numerous scenarios throughout their lives, in their books, in their movies, in their commercials, in their magazines, as something that is splendid. It means that they get to have exotic foods. It means that they get to see exotic dances. It's always exotic. Exotic also always means non-white and interesting. Exotic never means like the little German dancers. Exotic never means, no, that's even though it's not in our country, like specifically, like it's not in Canada, it's not in the US, and therefore should be considered exotic and interesting and fascinating. No, none of that's exotic, interesting, or fascinating. Only the non-white countries. So when you say multiculturalism, you are evoking from these people, their subconscious mind, all of this positive imagery, all of this positive emotions that they have that have been assigned to that meme pathogen. And that's exactly what it is. Multiracialism, however, has not been similarly injected into their thinking with all of this list of emotions and etc. attached to it, positive for those who support it and for its fact and reality, and negative for those who object to it. So you are losing a little bit of your argument or leverage with the person you're speaking to, or the people you're speaking to, when you refer to it as multiculturalism, multiracialism. You might want to start off by saying multiculturalism, which is just multiracialism, because multiculturalism is an oxymoron. There can be no such thing. It's just a time of a witch's cauldron of peoples that is brewing to the point that it eventually explodes. That is what multiracialism is. And frame it like that for our people. And folks, when you hear me slip up, when you hear me use a phrase that is actually one, and I don't qualify it, that is actually one that is employed by the anti-whites and is therefore a term or tool of our dispossession, of white dispossession, call me out on it. We have to help each other grow. I should have, from the very beginning, anti-white hearings if I didn't. After the fact, I thought about it and I couldn't remember whether or not I said it, but that's what they were. National Autism says multi-ethnic instead of multiracial. Oh, you could try it. I have not tried that before. Multiracial. There's something. What you want with what you want to do with that term is you want it to stand as best as possible. You want it to stand alone as something that is ugly, something that sounds ugly, just aesthetically. Does multi-ethnic sound better than multiracial? I think it probably does. I mean, you all can toss it around a bit. What word? Just forget the definition of it. What sounds uglier? Does multiracial sound uglier, or does multi-ethnic sound uglier? Ethnic always seems to convey something positive. Racial, on the other hand, is something that has a negative connotation in our society. So saying multiracial is probably more powerful than saying multi-ethnic. Again, you can qualify it. Roy Danton, I'm back again with a super chat of $4.99. This word also reminds me of those Civnats and their pathetic, oh my God, I'm not a racist, claiming that any foreigner can adopt our culture. Absurd. No one can adopt anyone else's culture any more than you can adopt their instincts. It is asinine. Always point that out to the people you're speaking with. The culture is not a set of clothes that you can put on and take off at will. You can only fake it for a little bit of time as peoples who are in a state of diffidence. Remember this from Going Free, part of our lexicon. People who are in a state of diffidence will fake the dominant, the host group's culture as best they can. They will fake it. They will ape it. They will parrot it. They will do whatever they can because they are in a state of diffidence. As soon as they achieve numerical diffidence, as soon as they achieve numerical courage, though, then they project their biospirit onto the environment. That is where you get this runaway Cold War of culture. That's where you eventually end up with balkanization and violent bloodshed throughout all of history. Mary Moon writes on GoFundMe, you can leave comments if you donate. Some of you could donate and leave no white guilt. Oh, I can't do that, or would. No bank account, no way to do online. So that's a great point that Mary Moon makes. If you go to this young boy's GoFundMe that he has, and you want to donate a couple dollars to what will undoubtedly, almost certainly be now a lifetime for this poor child of challenges. Oh, what will almost undoubtedly be a lifetime of challenges. Mention No White Guilt, mention nowhiteguilt.org, and try to bring more people to Going Free. We got a super chat from Dave Martell, $5. Thank you very much for being here, good sir. Thank you for being with us and for the kind investment in the cause of white well-being. He writes, I pray with all my heart for that little angel's recovery. May the gods curse that monster and his children's children. Bog. Thank you very much, Dave, for jumping in. If somebody has super chatted and folks, I missed it, please tag me. Let me know. I will look back for it to make sure that every single super chat is read. Dwayne writes, I feel economics is our strength. If we put all our wealth out of the system, then move to recruit the farmers, it's a win, victory, checkmate. Well said. No White Guilt from Mike Hawk writes, you might want to remove the H word from the title, given that's going on, given all that's going on, just for safety's sake. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm sure we're sharing too much here. Pamela Fox writing, I made it to your stream. Thanks for the invite. What part of the world are you in? Are you on a VPN? Did you change your location on YouTube? Are you on Firefox or Chrome or some other browser? Are you able to see my videos or just the stream? Please tag me and let me know. I can't even remember. As soon as I started thinking about that little boy coming home, I completely lost what we were talking about. I'll just say this. When I found out that this had happened to Landon, a little boy that if I had a son, it would have looked like Landon. It so tore through my heart that I went into hyperdrive for the cause of white well-being. There was no sleeping Sunday night. I decided that I would stay up all night long. What else could I do? What else could I do for a life that could very well end? A little boy's life that will undoubtedly be wrecked. To what degree? We hope less, but it could be much worse. I have no ability to reach out and heal him. I have no ability to go back in time and prevent that monster from laying hands on him. Had I been there, the monster would have followed him over the railing. So the only thing I could do, the only right response for me, and I hope for more and more of you, is that when these atrocities are committed against our people, it ignites, it fuels the flame in you for white well-being. And that you double whatever your work effort was for us, that you triple it. There was no going to sleep. I was not going to be able to sleep with that little boy, with those thoughts in my mind about his suffering and the suffering of his family, the suffering of our people. So I stayed up all night working on the cause. I called into work and I canceled my meetings, called out of work, and I stayed working on the cause all day on Monday, April 15th, 2019, which will probably which should for us be remembered as a day of infamy. Because in the middle of that day, while I was still struggling with what had happened to Landon and working tirelessly, and rest assured, folks, the thought of sleep didn't come anywhere near my mind. At no moment did I think that I was tired and had to lie down and take a nap. I could have stayed awake for 4 days. In the midst of that, my phone started blowing up, and people were telling me that Notre Dame Cathedral was burning to the ground. It is not just a cathedral. For those of you, certainly not in this live chat, but for those of you, some who might watch this video in replay, who are not going free and who are not as valuable to our people as those who are listening now. For some of you, Notre Dame is nothing more than a symbol of Christianity. And for those, I say that you are despicable, short-sighted twits. You are imbecilic, and you have no right to even claim any position in the white positive sphere, much less going free of anti-whiteism. I turned on the television just in time to see the flames tearing through that monument to our biospirit, and to see that spire topple to the ground. Notre Dame was a symbol of our beauty, of our character, of the expression of our biospirit on this world. Its burning, its Holocaust, is an example, a representation of white erasure. Anyone who would celebrate that because they disagree with Christianity is a bastard. So what were the anti-whites saying? Whether they were on Twitter or in the government of France, what were they saying about this? Well, they were saying, it's horrible, but it's just a building. It's only nearly 1,000 years of history for Western kind. Our living soul put into existence in the world around us, incinerated. And it's just a building. They'll rebuild it. Many of them even saying that if you're going to care about Notre Dame, then that's an expression of your white supremacy, these tools of white oppression, because you're not showing enough concern for, you're not showing concern for this non-white country or that non-white country. So what are the anti-whites revealing to you when they say that your concern for the incineration of our biospirit manifest in the world? What are they saying when they're saying that that is evil for you to care about that? They're saying that the only morality in this world is the destruction of you, your kind, and all that you create. And why do they want to destroy what we create? Why do they need to take down our statues? Because they know that those are ties of our spirit to our world. They know that we depend on those things for harmony in our civilization. They know that it hurts us to destroy those things that we make and love and cherish. You don't need to be a Christian to have loved Notre Dame, to have taken pride in its construction, in its beauty, in its meaning, in its representation. And rest assured that Christianity is no closer to being eradicated by the burning of Notre Dame. Christianity was defeated a long time ago by the anti-whites. You go to any church and you'll see what I mean. Anti-whiteism is preached as the word of Christ. I'll tell you what it means for me. Actually, no, before I do that, let me see what people are saying. Roy Danton, super chatting $9.99. Is anyone else here old enough to have seen Paris before it looked like Beirut? It's been a long time, but I'm very glad that I have had the chance of seeing Notre Dame when I was a little boy. And that's something I'll mention here in a moment. Anonymous writes, R is the most intimidating sound. That's why it's murder, not muck duck. El Rhonda writing, so racial is more powerful. It will lead for the people. Just connect it to the phenotype and nothing else. Very well said. We have some people, looks like Jelly Storm wrote the 9 words. Let me see if I missed any super chats. If I did, folks, please let me know. Looks like I'm up to date on all of that. Please, if you haven't, tweet, super chat, tweet or Gab, and Minds and Facebook. We also had in my notes here, I see that Macron said, well, at least nobody died. They'll just rebuild it. And I'm sure when they say rebuild, they don't want it to be an expression of the Western spirit. They want it to be the expression of something anti-white. I'm sure Macron would say, if the Taj Mahal burned to the ground, I'm sure he would say, it's just a building. They'll rebuild it. It's at least nobody died. They'll rebuild it. I'm sure he would say that. And that's something I want to point out as well. If the Taj Mahal had caught fire and burned to the ground, the entire Western world would move heaven and earth with money, resources, manpower, geniuses of engineering and the like to that location to help them rebuild that monument. Private white-run organizations would move heaven and earth to aid those people in their suffering, to aid them in their sorrow, to send care packets. Correct me if I'm wrong, but have there been any non-white countries that have publicly said, we are going to contribute so many millions of dollars to France to help ease the pain? We're going to send our finest engineers to help take a look at what the French are doing to see if they can help? Are there any private non-white organizations that are moving heaven and earth to help the French people, the white people who felt such a love and connection? How about all of Europe? How about all of Western kind like myself, who already was in a state of sadness for Landon, to now see this monument, a monument that I, a son of the West, will never see with my naked eyes, that spire, 850 years old or whatever it was. I will never see it with my naked eyes. I will never put my hands on that mason work, on that stonework of our people. And you want to say now, how did it catch fire? Well, we're not able, of course, the entire regime is going to say, well, no one knows right now. It's too early to say. Would they say the same thing if this was some non-white building, non-white cathedral? Would they say, well, there's no way to know? No, they would immediately implicate Western kind. Right at Easter? This wasn't just some run-of-the-mill time of the year. Right at Easter, Notre Dame burns to the ground. No, we can't say, though. You know, we can't say. We cannot ask whether or not this was an act of terrorism, because if we ask that question, this video will be taken down. This live stream will be cut short right in the middle of the stream if we were to speculate. So I can only say that we can't even ask whether or not this was terrorism. We cannot even ask whether or not anti-white non-whites are behind this act, whether it's an act that they were carrying out in the name of their own hatred for Western kind, or whether or not it was an act that was a false flag to implicate another group. Or we can't say any of that because the anti-white bastards at YouTube will censor everything. We can't say any of that. You know what else we can't say? As I watched a piece of my soul set ablaze on the television in France. You know what else we can't say? We can't ask about the unusual color of the flames and smoke, the apparently unusual intensity of that fire. We can't ask or inquire about any of that because if we do, the anti-white bastards at YouTube will censor this video and may even shut the stream down. So we can't ask about the unusual color of the flames and the unusual color of the smoke. You know what else we can't talk about? We can't talk about the strength of equality, because that's plays a role here. Even if this fire was an accident, even if nothing else was responsible for this but a bird tripping over a candle and somehow setting this entire place ablaze with no one realizing it, the strength of equality played a role in this, ladies and gentlemen, but we can't talk about that. Why? Because we'll be censored for doing so. How did the strength of equality play a role? Well, first of all, people were hired based on their gender and race rather than on their abilities in France, who should have been able to foresee, but they could not foresee, that a structure like this would have special needs to preserve it. There should have been departments dedicated solely to Notre Dame Cathedral. They should have practiced every month. They should have known the place inside and out. A match should not have been able to be lit inside that building without these specific fire departments knowing and within seconds of arriving at that place. Why wasn't there such foresight in place for Notre Dame Cathedral? I will tell you why. Because of equality. That is why such foresight was not in place to prevent Notre Dame Cathedral and its spire from toppling to the ground. Strength of equality. And then the strength of equality played a role when the firefighters actually reached the location. Because firefighters, if it's anywhere else like in the West, firefighters are being hired based on their gender, sex, and their race rather than their ability. So that we can have something that we are told is so amazingly moral, this thing called equality, where you discriminate against white people who deserve jobs and give them to people, in most cases non-white people, who don't deserve those jobs. Always remember to frame it that way, because that's the truth. That is what's happening to us. That is what should matter to you and me. That it's our people who are being discriminated against in this equality madness. So, people showed up to fight that fire that didn't have the intelligence to do the job, that didn't have the strength to do the job, but we can actually explore what happened in that process, because if we do, we will be censored by the anti-white bastards. They know they're censoring as an admission that if people hear what we have to say, they will lose control over their thinking and then lose control over their actions. It is an admission by the anti-whites. We also can't talk about the fact that whether or not this was we can also say the strength of equality, that they're saying, well, maybe this was a construction fire of some sort. Well, you know what? Maybe it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't discriminated against competent people who deserved those construction jobs in favor of people who did not deserve those jobs just because they were a particular race or sex. Maybe the fire wouldn't have happened then. The wheels are falling off of Western civilization because of this discrimination against white people, so that they can hire an increasing number of non-whites. There isn't an infinite number of jobs available, an infinite number of seats available at universities. They have to persecute you and censor you and discriminate against you so that they can put someone else in the seat that you deserved. This might not also have happened if France had not imported millions of anti-white non-whites into that country. If the anti-whites in that country had not thrown the doors open, this might not have happened. So let me tell you how the anti-whites are going to handle this. The first thing they're going to do is what they're doing. I wrote all of this on Monday. I wrote all of these notes down. First thing they'll do is they'll deflect. It's just an accident. It's likely just an accident. Nothing here. Certainly no anti-white non-whites could have been involved. But then what they will do is they will speculate about white nationalists being involved. So watch that. If it hasn't started already, folks in the chat, if you have not seen that, or if you have seen that, let me know. Sabat Haddad, super chatting $5. Macron said that diversity will rebuild. France would reach out to the world. How despicable. What an absolute despicable human piece of trash that he is. Diversity will rebuild. White man super chatting by way of the familiar alternative with $10. Thank you very much. For Landon and every other white child, we must all go free. Amen to that. We will all meet the same fate if we don't get to work. Exactly. Who's going to come to give a damn? Look at South Africa right now. Who's going to give a damn when your little boy or little girl gets thrown over the railing, when that police force is utterly run by anti-whites who are both incompetent and hate you? Who's going to give a damn? You'll have no justice. Johnny Jones super chatting by way of the familiar alternative with $10, not writing anything, but thank you very much for your kind investment in the cause of white well-being. Nobody is even asking who the mystery figure walking across the gallery in the middle of the conflagration is. We're not allowed to, not on YouTube. If you ask that, the channel, if we investigate some mysterious thing like this, I mean, for God's sake, there could be a non-white person walking through Notre Dame Cathedral with a can of kerosene and pouring it over. There could be video of this, and your channel would be shut down if you shared it. What does that tell you about the anti-whites? El Duranda, Martin Sellner's video of Notre Dame was taken down, even though he has stated not to come to fast conclusions and shut down the chat so that they will not take it down. You see, all I'm saying is that we can't even investigate these things. I'm not even going as far as Sellner was saying about not coming to conclusions. And let's see what the anti-whites do. I'm not saying that it was any of these things. I'm just pointing out the obvious, that we are not allowed to even question what the regime says. That's all you need to know. This anti-white regime. Let's see what else was said here. Shell says, after only 12 hours, they've concluded that it was an accidental fire, when the truth has taken 2 weeks in a month for experts to comb through and discover the truth. Yeah, exactly. Immediately. It's just an accident. Certainly not anti-white non-whites. Possibly they'll say white nationalists responsible for this. I haven't seen the footage of the man in a white robe and white turban, and I won't be able to show it or share it or talk about it either, because we are the real resistance. You keep your eyes on those who are able to talk about these things and they're not taken down. Eric Johnson writing, all the faiths of our people have been dehumanized, brother. Despite religious differences, we are all brothers. We must celebrate each other despite these petty differences. Amen to that. Absolutely amen to that. No White, fit and healthy at any age, writes, No White Guilt is one of the best channels out there for our cause. I love his conviction and strength of character. Thank you so much. That says a lot about your character, that you appreciate the work that I'm doing for white well-being. I see Arya Satya is here. Great to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Great member of our community. Wayne Scully, I think you missed Lacey Lynn's super chat, possibly. I did not see Lacey Lynn's. I've been extremely busy. I have to catch up on people's work. I've been extremely busy we got a lot of exciting things that we're doing and are coming our way. El Ronder says, I guess talking about Macron, that this is a chance to bring everyone together, he wrote, and the whole world will build up together. He makes it a multiracial project, clearly. Yeah, exactly. What a piece of garbage. What a piece of garbage. Circling the drain in the toilet that they have made of Western civilization. Leaky, super chats $2 by way of the familiar alternative. You've mentioned that the LGBT agenda is a subset of anti-whiteism, but why then is it being pushed so hard in non-white Latin American countries, Israel, South Korea, etc.? Please don't forget my last familiar alternative super chat. You were referring to the one from earlier, the other $2 one. I won't forget about it. I'm going to read that poster and then get back to you on that. So you're asking about the LGBT. Why are they using it in places? Well, first of all, there are white people in Latin America. But secondly, a tool that can be used against whites and white well-being can also be used in other places. I mean, if a hammer can be used to drive a nail in one location, it can be used to drive a nail in another location. So that's your answer to that. Roy Danton just super chatted $9.99. Thank you very much, dear friend. Can we even mention what an integral and unique part of our Western biospirit is to value and protect other races and other religions, historic and religious symbols and monuments? Exactly. How far we go beyond the comprehension of the rest of the world and doing everything we can to preserve their history, to preserve their monuments, to preserve the things that they have said and done. We are the reason that many of them have those things today. Sure, there were exceptions to that rule. Sure, there were people, white malefactors in the world who may have done something wrong or here or there when it came to the histories of non-white peoples and artifacts, etc. But that is not the norm for us. Whenever have the non-white peoples shown up and said, we want to do all we can to preserve your history? Never. That is something that is in us alone. No, you know what's going to happen? This multiracial rebuilding of the cathedral is going to be all white people behind the scenes making it happen, white money making it happen, and then they're going to put a raft of non-white faces out in front for you to look at. Sickens me. Candice Europa donates $10 by way of the familiar alternative. I recently decided against joining the Catholic Church when I learned of the fire at Notre Dame. It struck me straight in the heart. It hurt me, not as a symbol of Christianity, but as a symbol of the European spirit being broken. Exactly. Beautifully written. That is exactly what it is. Places like Notre Dame Cathedral or places like Cologne Cathedral, I've mentioned before, are expressions of our biospirit. That is our soul in our world. To look at that thing on fire and to see that steeple fall and not have your heart break, not have a piece of your spirit shatter at that, is to demonstrate that you are a sick person and that you have a long way to go, a lot of going free to get through. So what else is there here in my notes about it? I was saying they're going to deflect. Then they'll speculate that whites are behind the fire. And as we're seeing, they're saying that it'll be a multiracial rebuilding. Maybe that's what they'll do with all white monuments. They'll end up just destroying them all, and then they'll be rebuilt as monuments to anti-whiteism. Here's the final note I wrote about what they're going to do, the anti-white elites. If it ends up being a proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was an anti-white, non-white, or non-whites behind this fire, if that ends up being proven somehow beyond a shadow of a doubt, the anti-whites in the regime are going to trumpet to the heavens, not all non-whites, not all non-whites of this group, not all non-whites of that group. And in fact, if you turn a squinted eye on that group, then you are evil for doing so. Not that they are evil for being present and inflicting this injury on our spirit. They didn't burn a building, if that's what ends up being the case. They set fire to your soul. What more are they going to take from me? What more are they going to take from you, white brother? What more are they going to take from you, white sister? I'm going to read, actually. I'm going to read. A gentleman quoted Prometheus Rising. Let's see, I have it here. Heathen traditionalist. I think that's on Twitter. Quoted from my book, Born Guilty, inside Prometheus Rising, a snippet of King Lason's battle speech. And I want to read that short quote to you. He just tweeted this the other day before Notre Dame was set ablaze, intentionally or accidentally. The quote from King Lason, in the midst of, or just prior to battle and Prometheus Rising, which is a story about our creation that tracks our people through the beginning of time to the present and is inside of my book, Born Guilty. King Lason says to his men on the eve of battle, quote, "Have no mercy, as none has been shown to you. Make use of treachery, as treachery is used against you. Master deception, as deception has blinded you. Put your mind and your efforts upon this course, and no power can resist you. Let no principle of decorum bind that which weakens the enemy, but meet fire with inferno. Trump cunning with guile. Feign what you must, but give misery to the foe, yea, as cruelly as he has given it to you." Those words ring true in my heart as I watch Notre Dame burn. We are not in a neutral environment. We are not in a world where such an accident, such an occurrence could be nothing more than an accident. In some way, shape, or form, or in many ways, anti-whiteism set fire to Notre Dame Cathedral. Whether it was the incompetence of the equality hires and the equality fires, you, my white brothers and sisters, whether it was their incompetence in not properly preparing for such a thing, not setting measures in place to prevent such a thing, and or whether or not it was a fire intentionally set as we approach Easter, not just as an infliction of harm on Christianity, which has long been defeated, but on us as Western kind. This fire, the destruction of that portion of Notre Dame, the toppling of that steeple, can be laid at the feet of the anti-whites. And you know them for the excuses they now give, for the pain that they don't show. You see it in the anti-white, non-whites' hearts when there is no movement of their organizations and their countries to rush to our aid, to give us solace, to offer their best as we would do to them, as we always do for them. That is all you need to know. No one is coming to save you. Follow King Lason's advice on the eve of battle in Prometheus Rising. Let no principle of decorum bind that which weakens the enemy. That is the world we are in. Let's see what else we have here as we near the end of this stream. Johnny Jones, super chatting by way of the familiar alternative. $10. Thank you very much for that super chat. My friend writing, multiculturalism, and by that you mean multiracialism, is a death cult for white people. Precisely. Very well said. Quebec just super chatted by way of the familiar alternative, $300. Folks, let's get a serious celebrating round of raucous emojis for Quebec. We cannot thank you enough for your kind and generous munificence to the cause of white well-being. Exactly. Very exciting. I see Lacey Lynn is in the chat as well. Great to see you. Yeah, folks, please, let's get some celebrating emojis for Quebec. That is absolutely, thank you so much for that. That is the answer to the anti-whites. That is the response that we need to have to the anti-whites. Because I'm going to tell you what else I found out on Monday. Not only on Sunday did I find out about Landon, and that break my heart for what happened to his family. That too would not have happened if it had not been for anti-whiteism. Even if that anti-white, non-white was just crazy, the deinstitutionalization movement of the insane has been driven by the anti-whites to drive the insane out into our midst and to fill them with hatred for our people. Landon was thrown over that balcony because the anti-whites made it so. I stayed awake all night working for our people and worked all through the following day, skipping work. And then I find out that a piece of our soul was set on fire by the anti-whites in one way or another. The blame lays at their feet, not at anything, not at ours, not a chance, not an accident, but in one way, one shape or form or more, it can be laid at their feet. The burning of our soul in France. But then I find out, I receive message from Liv from whitedate.net. And if you haven't already gone over there to check out her work, please do so. Please subscribe if you're looking for a mate. Be careful as you would on any dating site. I've received a message from her. She was the first to tell me that, my God, Jason, the EU has censored all of your content. Why is it that all of my content gets censored right after Notre Dame gets set ablaze? Are the two related in any way? Is there no relation? Maybe. Maybe I was censored by the EU before it caught fire. Maybe I was censored for some reason other than my message and for who I am and what I represent. Although the excuses that people have given for why that might be so have all ended up hollow. For example, this Article 13, I don't use copyrighted material. YouTube hasn't contacted me to say that you use copyrighted material. There are other channels out there that are still visible in Europe, other leaders in the white positive sphere, other content producers who show in their content, they speak over top of running commercials, running movies, current television shows, and their content has not been censored from Europe as mine has. Is there something more to censoring me than something as pedestrian as some triviality, you put up some content that we now has a copyright on it, and we're going to shut you down because of that? Or is it because I represent the future of this fight against anti-whiteism? Because I am helping to give voice to those who had no voice, a voice that they can learn and share with their brothers and sisters, because they know the righteous anger burns white hot inside of me, and that I can set all of you ablaze with that same fire. Is that why they sit in Brussels and shut me down? This is the proper response to get out this message, this curative contagion to our brothers and sisters. Set our works ablaze. Indeed. And like Macron said, we will rebuild, but we will rebuild with our biospirit. Because Notre Dame, my friends, and you anti-white bastards, censors at YouTube and in the EU, it is in here that Notre Dame exists. All of France is in here. All of Germany is in here. You can set it all ablaze and build your disgusting statues and these monstrosities to your anti-whiteism. We will tear all that down. And Notre Dame, as it is, will be resurrected by us. All of Germany will be resurrected by us. All of Italy, all of the UK will be resurrected because it exists first in us. As long as we live, you have no chance. And there's now nothing you can do to stop us. This is the proper response. Thank you, Quebec, for that $300 super chat. Thank you, everyone here, for contributing in questions, in comments, in doing research, in spreading this message, in every super chat of every size, of everything that you can maintain, of everything that you can endure. We have some more here. We have Doris super chatting $50 by way of the familiar alternative. I see Gabriella in the comments section. Great to see you. Doris writes, I've been to this marvelous cathedral of Notre Dame. Our ancestors started to build Notre Dame in 1163. That is 856 years ago. When the first slave traders came to Africa in the 15th century, the wheel was not yet invented there. Beautifully said. Thank you very much for the investment, Doris, in the cause of white well-being. Thank you very much for the investment in the cause of white well-being, Quebec. Camdus Europa, super chatting $5 by way of the familiar alternative. This week, I was not only struck by the burning of Notre Dame, but by the stories of Landon and Aaron, I don't even know Aaron, brought to my attention by Mark Collette. I'll have to watch that video. A white boy pushed by an anti-white. Oh, Aaron is the one that committed suicide. And the other one bullied to death for being white. Exactly. That I just that's I still have to look into that. That makes me sick. Thank you very much for that super chat. Matthew J donated $30 by way of the familiar alternative. Thank you, good sir. I appreciate the passion. We need more of it within our people. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Matthew. Thank you for your good, hard work for the cause of white well-being. Let me see it here in the chats. Marsha writes, she has to leave, but she gives us a heart. Thank you for being here. Others are joining the chat, joining the show, even now as we come close to the end. I have one last piece of news to share. Dylan George, the EU, just like all these establishments or blind sheep, ground troops, if they cannot win an argument, they just ban. Exactly. They can't win. They have lost the argument of ideas. They have lost the argument of philosophy. They have lost the argument of fairness. They have lost. They have lost. And so all they can do now is try to silence us, cut our tongues out. But we won't be silenced. I will find another way. For every platform they shut down, I will open two. For every book they burn, I will open up two more venues for that book to be sold. There is no shutting us down. And I'll tell you what else happened on that fateful Monday that will now live in infamy for us in the cause of white well-being, and we will not forget soon. I was finally responded to by Venmo. Perhaps if you all know, you heard that Venmo, the payment processing platform, moved against me and froze my account so that I could not use it or get my money out of it. I was finally able to get my money from them by speaking a bit of the legal repercussions with them. But I was not able to get a response until Monday. Interestingly enough, I received a response from the anti-white bastards at Venmo who told me that they would never do business with me again. And they gave no reason. We know the reason, ladies and gentlemen. Venmo just admitted that they oppose white well-being. We are going to create a list. I will create a list on my website of the companies that have openly said that they reject white well-being so that you can know who to boycott. You can know what individuals out there, what organizational entities, what businesses out there, social networking sites that are not only rejecting these terms like white supremacy or white nationalism, but groups that are objecting to white well-being, groups that are openly defying what they would support for non-white groups. Venmo would never object to Jewish well-being. They would never object to black well-being, but they damn well object to white well-being. So I had a handful of people who sent me money by way of Venmo. You know what? I'm just going to move someplace else. And they'll still be able to support me financially, you anti-white dirtbags. You won't stop us. There is no stopping us. You shut that down, two more will open. That is the spirit of defiance we have, folks. Christopher writes, you are the best I have ever seen. You should have 1 million more subscribers. Brother, there will come a time when, if I must, I will go to every mall and I will stand on the tables in their eateries and I will shout this message to those people. And we will videotape it and we will post it to YouTube and we will get it out there any way we have to. There is no stopping us. There is no stopping us. There is no stopping an idea whose time has come. Anti-whites, do you feel that? That breeze? That is the winds of change. Your day is over. Censor all you want. Those are the desperate cries of the loser as you sink beneath the waves. Roy Danton, super chatting with $49.99. Thank you very much for that investment in the cause for white well-being, my good friend. After everything that has happened to us, let us never forget the amazing progress that we have already made and how powerful our message is. This year truly is the year of the European sunrise. Hail victory. Amen. This is the year of the Western sunrise. They can shut down all they want. I'm going to be back. They can try to They can try to stop us, tape up our mouths, burn our books, shut us down from coming across the European Union's lines, and we are still going to reach out to them. And so, folks, I want you, as we get near the end here of the chat, get near the end of the show, I thank you all for being here. I thank you all for your time, your efforts, your sincerity, your good character, the character that you demonstrate here that is so honorable and so gleaming by dedicating your lives to the only thing that can warrant your life, the spirit of white well-being, to people who care about our soul being set alight in the heart of France. The day will come when this will end. The day will come when we said in the South, when these fires will go out during the war when the United States invaded, and we will rise again. That's the day that we work for. That is the context of tomorrow that we are aiming to change, when there will be new opportunities, new avenues offered to us. New things will open. New people will come with more power, with more connections. They are already watching the work I'm doing. I can tell you that, folks. And that is why the anti-whites fear what we are doing. That is why they see politicians across the world now trying to pass things like resolutions that it's okay to be white. People are speaking up. They're speaking up because of you and me and the work that we're doing. So I will tell you this. Sunday, I received the news about Landon that broke my heart. Monday, I saw my soul set alight in the heart of France. Monday, I received the message back from Venmo that they won't ever do business with me again because I fight for white well-being, making it clear that they're doing all they can. And I'm not even revealing everything else that the anti-whites are doing to censor me. No strikes yet on YouTube, but they have deleted over a dozen of my videos now with little to no excuse. Spam, they claim. Scams, they claim. Anything they can claim to delete that which opens eyes, which heals hearts and purifies souls. Anything they can do to stop us from reaching the people. They have done all in that. And what is my response? The same as your response should be. I am invigorated. I am empowered. I am emboldened by the things that they have done. I am encouraged. This is proof positive that we are on the right track, that we are doing the right thing, that our message reaches into the hearts. Our message of love and redemption and healing reaches people. I will tell you this final thing to end this stream, my friends. There's HB214. Great to see you. Great to see Grape in the chat as well. Great to see all of you good people that have come out today and tweeted and gabbed. And make sure that you tweet and gab this stream as soon as we're done, because we need to get it out. You know that the anti-whites are going to be looking for a way to censor it from the web as soon as it begins to process. Seeing Red just super chats $1. Thank you very much for that super chat investment in the cause of white well-being. Again, a big thank you to all of you. A big thank you to everyone who has been working here, modding the chat, making sure that the anti-whites, don't show up and suddenly start saying things that would instantly get us banned from YouTube. Seeing Red again, super chats another $1. Thank you very much for that. This I want to do as we get near the end. I want to do two things. I want to ask you all quickly, what are your ideas? I want to see them in the chat because I will go and pick them up after the show. What are your ideas for what I can do, what we can do to get this info from my channel into the hearts of our people in Europe, where it has now been cut off? How can we make it evident to them that all we need to do is change your location on YouTube? I will change my banner to reflect it. I may shrink the verbiage so that it fits on cell phones, so that it can be read there. I will mention changing location on YouTube. I will mention that Firefox and Chrome, you can still view the live stream even though you can't view the videos. I will keep up the information about the alternative means, VPNs that you can use to get to my streams. We have to also talk about in the chat being banned from Russia. Is that something that you all are seeing as well from my content, from reaching those in Russia? Looks like maybe Sabat Hada super chats $2. I sent you that video of the man. Check Twitter. Thank you very much for that. I will definitely look for it. Killa writes, "Hail, no white guilt." Candace Europa, we need your passion. Candace Europa asks, am I finally the one? If I'm anything, I'm a son of Western kind, and I have put my soul into white well-being. I have put my soul into born guilty, so they can take this body, and I will live on, and you will live on, and the message that you now hold in your hearts will live on. I'm just a son of the West, like you, and you a daughter of the West. I am one of ours, and I will give my life for this cause, the greatest of all causes. Nothing can stop us. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody here. I see Amber Yates. Great to see you. So all of you, if you have ideas, put them in the super chat. Put them in the thread under this video. Make sure to spread the thread as soon as it's done processing. We need this information to reach as many people as possible, especially our brothers and sisters in Europe who are now being denied this by the bloated, swollen, disgusting anti-white pigs in the European Union who are doing everything they can to shut down this story of redemption, this message of redemption. So I want to share this with you. A gentleman, I don't know that he is okay with his name being shared, so I'm not going to share it in this stream, but he reached out to me with an absolutely heart-warming story this past week. He took some of the lessons that we have shared and discussed here about white well-being, about helping white children. When we had Clarion on and we were talking with her about how to teach our white children to take white mates, to teach them to be proud about who we are, that they have something to cherish and hold on to, something valuable running through their veins and in their heart. And when we talked about that, we talked about the methods by which we could communicate that pride to them. Some of them more salient, some of them more subtle. He employed some of those messages in a scenario in which he is around children with a little white girl. A little white girl came up to him, and I want you to think about this little white girl relative to the little white boy who was thrown to his, if not death, his disfigurement, perhaps his handicap, his whatever else ends up happening to that poor son of the West. Think about this little girl. She went up to him in a position of authority. And I won't say where they are located so that I don't give the anti-whites an opportunity to try to harm another one of our members. And she went up to him and she had a little notebook. And in that notebook, there were a bunch of, the notebook was designed to brainwash her with mean pathogens into believing that all of these other groups of people, all of these non-white groups are special, that they're unique, but that her people are not. The book was riddled with cartoons of non-whites, all celebrated in some way for how unique they are, how special they are. And he helped her to find a page, one of the very few pages, a white little girl in a white country, a country that was created by her people, a country that rightfully belongs to her. A little girl whose soul is being poisoned by the anti-whites. Every day of her life, the infection creeps deeper into who and what she is. And if someone doesn't intervene, she will end up hating herself. She probably won't admit it. And she will work against our well-being. She will work against our well-being because she will be taught that it is the moral thing to do, that it is the fashionable thing to do, that it is the right thing to do. And she will look out into the world, hating herself, hating what looks back at her in that mirror. And to escape that identity, she would have taken a non-white mate. And she would have reproduced non-white children. And white erasure virtually secured. But as this little girl, in the midst of her pain and suffering, in the midst of that very real child abuse, that the anti-white inflicts on us by way of these mean pathogens. She had God's grace when this man, who having seen the stream of going free with Clarion, employed some of those tools to help build up her heart and her soul. Like wings, he was adorned before her, like on my shirt, like an angel saving her from the blackest pit of despair that the anti-whites wanted to place her in. And he found the page where there was a little white girl smiling. And he said, as part of the tools that he employed with her in that moment, I think you should use this page. She's very pretty like you. She looks like you and our people. And a big smile crossed that girl's face. And she went back to her seat with a pride that will never die. A pride that I now feel for having played a small part in that beautiful emotion that welled up in her. And you all should feel as well. I love you all. Reject the censorship. Let's go free.